In the quiet corridor of Brookstone High, the days bled into one another, and the most important lessons often arrived in the silence between tasks. Arya, a 16-year-old with a soft voice and a sharp eye, volunteered after school at the tutoring desk, helping younger students with their math and language. She wasn't loud about her ethics. She simply carried them like a quiet flame, steady, reliable, and invisible to most, unless you looked closely. One late afternoon, when the fluorescent lights hummed and the janitor's mop collected a thin mist of rain from an open door, a folded piece of paper appeared on the shelf where Arya shelved the math notebooks. It wasn't crumpled, as if someone had tried to hide it, but it wasn't perfectly neat either, as though it had been tucked away in a hurry. On the page, in careful handwriting, were the words, "Answers for tomorrow's exam, 125. It was a cheat sheet, perhaps left by someone who believed the test would be easy enough to cheat their way through, or by someone who feared failing a single test could ruin their entire future. Arya's stomach knot twisted. A single page could derail a classroom's integrity, and hers, if anyone discovered she'd known about it and kept quiet. She looked toward the door and saw Kai, a tall boy with a quick grin and a quicker mind for mischief, leaning on a chair across the room. He spoke softly, but with certainty. "If you tell anyone, we both lose. If you don't, we both win." The old ache, fear of losing a friend for doing what's right, stirred in her chest. But Arya had learned long ago that real courage isn't loud or flashy. It's choosing the harder path when no one is watching or applauding. She slid the paper back into the shelf, left the tutoring desk, and walked toward Chen, the librarian who ran the after-school program with a blend of warmth and iron will. Chen had a way of turning even the quietest confession into a chance to grow, not to scold. "Chen, I found something that doesn't belong here," Arya said, keeping her voice even. She didn't name Kai. She didn't broadcast her own decision to do the right thing. She simply handed over the cheat sheet and asked for the page to be filed away, where it wouldn't tempt anyone else to cheat. Chen's eyes widened just a fraction, then settled into a calm, thoughtful look. "Thank you for telling me, Arya. I'll handle this. You did the right thing, sometimes quietly, without a spotlight. And that's where true character shows." That night, Arya's mother reminded her of the old saying her grandmother used to tell her: "When you act with integrity, the world doesn't always notice you, but your own heart does." Arya slept with that echo in her ears, a soft bell that reminded her that honesty is a practice, not a performance. The next day brought the usual bustle of schedule changes and test anxieties. In the auditorium at assembly, the principal spoke about honesty and responsibility, not to scold anyone but to acknowledge the everyday choices that keep a community fair. Arya listened as Kai sat a few rows over, his usual bravado dimmed by the weight of what his own actions would have cost him. The principal didn't call out names, but he described a moment when a student chose the right path without seeking credit. It wasn't a grand spectacle, but it mattered deeply. Afterward, Chen pulled Arya aside in the library, the shelves of books, a quiet chorus behind them. "You did more than you know," she said, not in a way that drew attention to Arya's bravery, but in a way that let her feel the ripple of a choice well made. When you stand up for what's right, even when no one is watching, You set something in motion, something you can't see yet, but that will shape you and others in ways you can only imagine. Kai, who'd grown quiet in the days that followed, found himself thinking about Arya's action in the evenings as he walked home. He didn't rush to imitate her straight away, but something had shifted inside him. A seed of doubt about shortcuts and a growing curiosity about what it would mean to earn trust rather than borrow it. Weeks passed, and the small, unseen acts of integrity began to form a pattern in the school. Teachers noticed more students choosing to complete assignments honestly. The tutoring room grew brighter with the quiet sense that fairness mattered. And Arya, who had always believed in doing right even when it went unseen, felt a growing confidence that wasn't loud, wasn't dramatic, but was solid and true. On the last day of term, as the sun slid pale and honeyed through the classroom windows, Arya stood with Chen by the shelf where the cheat sheet had first appeared. A gentle breeze carried the smell of rain from a distant storm, and for once, the school felt like a harbor where honesty could rest, not a battlefield. Arya realized that what matters isn't the moment of glory when your name is called, but the quiet consistency of choosing what's right when no one is looking. That is where a person's character is truly formed, and that is where the world begins to lean toward more light. And so the story ends, not with a triumph shouted, but with a quiet assurance. Do the right thing, even when no one is watching, and you lay down a path that others can follow, even if they never thank you for it.